Let me go to the next category, which is the transportation category. Remember, the four factors of the service category is location, um, financial drivers, which are supported by your medical team. Number three was willing to negotiate. Number four was transportation. So let's touch on transportation because that is already expected. So how can you use that to your advantage to increase what is already being wanted or needed? Remember, if you're not doing these factors, they're already being done. So these are easy ways to already increase the acceptance of getting the business, okay? Now remember, none of it matters if there's not a perceived need. There still has to be a perceived need. We're talking about primary service factors. So now we're talking about transportation. Now, transportation is the number one service category from the personal injury attorney standpoint. When you talk to a personal injury attorney, the number one question their client says when they come in is, how do I get my car fixed to get back and forth to work? So you also have to be aware of that's the number one factor that will hurt the case, is when the patient cannot make the appointment, either because it's too far because you got a bad location, or they don't have transportation to make their appointments. So transportation is very important in your marketing, that you provide transportation. And we'll go over to different levels of providing transportation. But you definitely want that to be in your marketing, in your one of your four major service categories, transportation. You provide transportation, and that's why is the patient needs it, that they want it. And so you're helping the attorney solve his problem, because part of his problem is getting transportation as fast as he can for the client. So you're helping him solve his problem relative to the healthcare aspect. And we talked about the importance of missed appointments. That missed appointments are the number one factor that will negatively hurt the case. And not being able to make appointments because of transportation is a major factor. So it is important. What is it? Is it the primary factor of the four service factors? No. Number one is location. Number two is the financial drivers. Number three, I'd say, is the willing to negotiate. This is number four. I'd say your transportation is the fourth of the primary service factors for the personal injury attorney. Just putting it in its relative perspective. So what are the ways you can offer transportation? Well, the very easy way is just to subcontract. And this is the absolute easiest way, and I definitely recommend this by bare minimum, is just subcontract with a local transportation company and just ask for a volume discount. That's it. That's number one. Number two, and I did this, my personal injury office in Louisville was downtown, so we just provided tokens. We paid for the bus tokens for them to come to and from. Typically, they were near bus routes. Our office was right on the bus route, so it was very, very easy. So find out if there's a bus route next to you where you can easily pay for a cheap token to get them back and forth. Number three is a part-time staff member. If it was, or excuse me, not a staff member, a subcontractor. Now, there's a difference between an employee and a subcontractor from a liability standpoint. If it's a subcontractor, they still need their own insurance and all that, but you're not as liable. They're liable for the insurance. Let's say they get in an accident on the way. Now it's not a workers' compensation injury, and they're responsible for their own insurance on the vehicle, not you. You still want to make sure they have it, though. So if you had somebody that you hired part-time that acted as a subcontractor, there's also a staff member. You can have a staff member help with transportation. Now the difference is, remember, when they're an employee, you're liable for workers' compensation and insurance. Just make sure you have that those policies in place. But I have a client that also does that. He just has a staff member. He doesn't have a real busy office with personal injury, and so he'll just have a staff member that does other chores in the office, but she'll also go out and pick up clients or patients, and it's actually her car, and she's compensated for that. So a staff member, part-time staff member. Now you can also have a staff member, but that's also more of a full-time, but that's volume dependent. So depending on the volume that you have would be whether or not you want more of a full-time, and that's why I would go from one source. I'd start with the subcontractor with a totally separate company and then depending on the volume or the number of your offices, slowly work up the food chain. Um, and then also, if you have multiple offices or you have a big office or multiple volumes, and I have a client, he has a very large office, like 6 associates, and they do a lot of personal injury, and he's got a van, and he has a full-time driver. Now, what I would recommend is also having that person responsible for marketing activities. So you can have put some specific personal injury marketing activities onto this part-time person or full-time person as the driver. So you can combine that and increase the effectiveness if you're going to do that in-house. So that's the relationship of transportation. But transportation is definitely needed. Why? Number one, you help solve, it's the number one question the personal injury attorney gets from his client. Number two, you help solve that problem. Number three, it makes it accessible for that patient to make their appointments and not miss them. So you're definitely going to want to make sure that transportation is included in your marketing. It's one of the 4 top service factors, okay? And there's many ways, from a very low end to a very high end way of doing it. Don't let your fear and inhibitions or ignorance on how to do something stop you from doing it. Just be aware there's many ways to do it. You just have to find out how to do it. So that will take care of the 2 subjects we're going to cover today. And remember, we're talking about how what are some factors to increase your utilization with the personal injury attorney that's already happening. So, Dr. Paul, and we're just going to leave it at that today, and we'll go into the next subjects. We still got 1 or 2 other subjects on factors that you can do to increase your utilization without going into the sales category yet. Okay, so how to position yourself optimally for these personal injury referrals from the personal injury attorney. All right, that'll do it for today, and we'll see you on the next workshop. You take care.